Thank you, Al, for sharing that reading with us this morning. Please join me in a brief moment of prayer. As we gather here in this moment, we seek to have open hearts and minds and souls, that we might better comprehend the words we heard and their meaning for our lives today. Amen. Well, what a beautiful morning as we decorated our sanctuary. This morning we have prepared this worship place for the Advent season. It is a time of waiting, leading up to the celebration of Jesus' birth on Christmas. We are nostalgic, aren't we? The bows, the candles, the poinsettias, the tree, the words of Scripture, the carols, all traditions creating and recreating an atmosphere of expectation. The air is filled with the story of hope foretold and retold year after year after year. At home, we set candles in our windows, wreaths on the doors, trees in our living space, beacons of hope. Beacons of hope as we yearn for a future of peace and harmony, personally and throughout the world. We sit in the comfort of the familiar to watch and to wait. We set the stage and we trust that the rest, as it always has, will play out on Christmas Eve as we gather here again to our songs of love, of joy and hope and peace. Satisfied in the moment that what we come to celebrate, what we yearn for, will unfold before us. It's a special time of year. But let us not forget. Let us not let this wonderful story of birth and rebirth, of great promise, be one that only points to an external hope that another creates for us. While we remember and celebrate the birth of Jesus, may we also see in his life and message patterns for our own way of living, that we too may be the lights of hope in our world today. Advent is also about our own transformation, you see, our own awareness of purpose, of our inner spirit, birthing change in our souls. Tish Harrison Warren is a priest at the Anglican Church in North America. And in a New York Times article this morning, thank you, Sally, for sending that off. I went back and reworked the sermon because I loved the story. And there was a portion in it that it stood out to me. It speaks of the celebration and reflection this season of Advent brings. And she says, in her deeply moving and challenging words, she suggests that while she too loves the celebration, no one wants to take away this wonderful celebratory time of Advent and Christmas. But she says, our response to the wrongness of the world and of ourselves can often be an unhealthy escapism. And we can turn to the holidays as anesthesia from pain as much as anything else. We need collective space as a society to grieve, to look long and hard at what is cracked and fractured in our world and in our lives. Only then, you see, can celebration become deep, rich, and resonant, not as a saccharine act of delusion, but as a defiant act of hope. A defiant act of hope. Is that not why we gather year after year, saying those words and speaking these words of hope and reading the scriptures of hope and promise? But we can be a part of that act of hope. The familiar words of the scripture lessons that weave their way through the Advent season point to that hope. The hope the people of old longed for, a promise of better days and fulfillment yet to come. And the Messiah, the Emmanuel, they saw Jesus in that hope revealed. But as then and still today, the great relevance of Jesus' birth and life, or that the reality of hope coming into our world would happen continually through us. Jesus' message is for us. So while we gather together to remember and to celebrate the birth of the one whose life message transformed the world, let us not forget that God is still speaking, as the UCC likes to say. God is still speaking through us. The weapons of war in Isaiah's passage being reshaped into tools of agriculture is a striking image of the healing and nurturing process, which we have a piece in and playing a part in. So while Advent is a time that points to the one, it is also a time that points to the reality of our own purpose in changing the world. When all were pointing to Jesus and looking for that one to come into a broken world and to mend broken lives, Jesus was reaching out to every individual life with the message, follow me. In other words, do your part in healing and mending the brokenness around you, around us. Advent, Christmas, they are wonderful times of celebration, filled with the warmth of memories and dreams. I get that. I love this time of year. And we're going to get our Christmas tree this afternoon with the boys and set it up. And we'll be putting candles in our windows and decorating our home with special memories from the past, little treasures, and we take them out of the box and remember times we put them up year after year, a gift from a child in 3rd grade. And we'll probably play Pandora Christmas music as we do so, and maybe have some hot cocoa and making a few cookies. I love this time of year, as many of you do too, and all the goodness that flows from it as we show care and love for one another in ways that often during the year we seem to forget. It's magical. But I ask the value it holds if we come to see and celebrate and then walk away. If we come but do not take away the personal story it has for us, the personal message. If we come to see and celebrate but are not changed, not transformed by the reality that what we witness in this Advent season is the hope that we have to offer the world, the giving of ourselves for one another. I came across this passage, I don't know who had written it, but it talks about the gifts that we give each other, and it says the gifts we give each other at this time of year are more than just demonstrations of our generosity. They are symbols of the gifts we are capable of giving all the other days of our lives. Gifts of love, compassion, industry, advocacy, the gifts of our common humanity. These, the writer goes on to say, were the values of Jesus, the true Christian values. Indeed, these are the gifts that we come to witness in the retelling of the Christmas story and take away to share with others. Sharif Abdullah, in his book, Creating a World That Works for All, invites us to practice in our living the art of being a mender, one who seeks out opportunities to practice interconnection and interdependence with other beings. He goes on to say, success means awakening myself in the spirit that can help make a better life for others. Success means I have acted in the world as though I were a part of it, not apart from it. Success means becoming conscious of and faithful to my values and to my soul. as we journey through this Advent season. May we approach it differently than in the past. May we see it through new lenses this year, recognizing that the story we gather to remember and to celebrate is not external to us, but a very real part of who we are. And that for the Christmas story to be have a true impact in the world, it requires us to realize our place in being hope, in being joy, in being peace, in being love. We do not gather during Advent and Christmas to merely see and to celebrate the gift that came into the world, but rather to know the light that dwells and flows from us. It is what walking in the light is truly all about.